Well, hello, and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. I'm Randy Rosenblum. SB Live's Tarek Fatal will join me in a moment. An interesting football show for you again. We're in the middle of the football season, so we bring on football guest. Dustin Croick, the head coach at Aguora. He's got his Chargers at 5-0. He's going to join us in a few moments. And then a little later in the program, San Fernando Tigers will be featured. Their coach, Charles Burnley. The Tigers are 5-0. Isiah Castro, outstanding receiver and DB, goes both ways. They'll join us as well. Tarek, good evening.
Doing all right. I know you didn't ask me how I'm doing, but I have to bring it up. 6 weeks, baby Isla, some sleepless nights, but we're hanging in there.
Why did this show have to be on Thursday, the day Isla was born? So every week it's
is
an
a
anniversary.
Milestone. Yeah.
All right, let's start out and talk about Kahuku. They had been hammered by Mater Dei. You and I actually did that game. It was 55-8 for Mater Dei. Then Kahuku goes back to Hawaii, and you see the result, 30-23 over St. John Bosco. I actually went to bed thinking Bosco had pulled it out. Then they throw a late interception, and Kahuku pulled it out.
Yeah, this created all kinds of waves, and I think good for Kahuku, right? They get drummed 55-8, as you alluded to, and then they host St. John Bosco in Hawaii, and they take them down. I don't think anyone thought they were going to win that game, so credit to the coaching staff, credit to the program and those players for keeping the faith. Yeah,
Tonga Viola Amosa got a big run late, scored a touchdown. I like Carvalho. He's just tremendous. Mana Carvalho just does a wonderful job, and give Kahuku a lot of credit. It's a public school knocking off a St. John Bosco. I think that's really big.
No, it is, and it got them every national high school poll, top 25. Kahuku's now in that national poll. St. John Bosco drops a couple spots, but they'll be fine, and that's because they have Mater Dei still left on the schedule, who is number 1, by the way. And just the last ad, Bishop Gorman, still number 2 in the country.
Bishop Gorman from Las Vegas, Nevada. By the way, we got a monitor here with Bellflower ahead of Whittier tonight, 36-22. Pretty good game. All right, let's talk about a few other games, then we'll bring Dustin Croick on. Sierra Canyon Orange Lutheran was a big game last week, and Sierra Canyon won this handily. They were favored going in, but look at that score. That's somewhat surprising, that 34-point margin.
Well, it's worth noting TJ Lateef, the starting quarterback, junior for Orange Lutheran, who's got all kinds of Power 5 scholarship offers, did not play. So they had a backup who was really good, and he got hurt. So they ended up trotting out this 150-pound freshman who pretty much played 3 quarters of that game, and it just was not fair, and Sierra Canyon ended up pulling away really easily with that game. Here's a highlight. Wyatt Becker threw 2 touchdowns, including this one to Cole Crawford. Really nice. Takes the hit and throws the nice dime there. Sierra Canyon 4-0, and I think on its way to its first ever Division I playoff berth.
Terrell Cooks also had 2 touchdowns for Sierra Canyon for the Blazers. Those were on the ground. Next game we want to talk about, and this was a dandy, went 3 overtimes. Mission Viejo getting by Los Alamitos 34-28. This is another back-and-forth game. Really a tremendous contest and a big win for Viejo.
Yeah, this is a big win, and let me tell you why, because I think it's going to have some Division I playoff implications. Now, if Mission Viejo goes on to lose a couple more games and so on and so forth, it won't matter. But I think when the Southern section looks at that Cal Preps rating and they draw a line between the separation from Division I and Division II, a game like that could matter on where that line is drawn. But I think Mission Viejo, nevertheless, is Division I bound.
And Hines Ward was the hero, not the guy from the Steelers. We're going to talk to Tarek about it because he wrote an article on this Hines Ward, but he was the hero for Mission Viejo. Rancho Cucamonga remains unbeaten, 31-20 over Amat.
I wrote a piece this week kind of hyping up the Baseline League. 22-3 combined, all those teams, including 3 unbeaten teams, Rancho Cucamonga, Damien, and Edo Wando. So I think the Baseline League has a case to be the second best league in California behind the Trinity League.
Yeah, Trey Wilson over 200 yards rushing for Rancho Cucamonga in the win. Sarah Gardena over Oaks Christian. Sarah Gardina's got a great running back, and Sincere Rainey rushes for 217 and a couple scores for Sarah.
Power runner. For any of you old folk out there, well, older folk, kind of a Ron Dane
Wisconsin.
What kind of player? Just wants the contact, runs through you. Sincere Rainey for Sarah. Quarterback Jimmy Butler. they've got some really talented players. Just a last ad. I think Sarah and Sierra Canyon, that game's going to decipher who wins the Mission League.
Carson's on a roll in the city. They hammered Hamilton. I want to talk about the stats of Jerry Misa Alafua. He's averaging 136 yards rushing a game. He was on our show a couple weeks ago. He scored 10 touchdowns, and on defense, he's averaging 9 tackles a game.
Yeah, he's everywhere. Obviously, a City Player of the Year type conversation athlete. We'll see how Carson can do in their league and in the postseason. But my guess is they could be the top contender to beat Birmingham in the City Section Open Division playoffs.
Yeah, they're the biggest threat right now, although they're ranked third. We'll see. Garfield's got a very good football team and is on a 4-game winning streak. I don't know how good Jerry Misafula is, but I think he might have a chance to start at Aguora. We're going to find out right now because we have Dustin Croick on, the head coach. He's got an all-star team for the Chargers. Coach, congratulations on turning it around this year and the wonderful start.
Congratulations. Fatherhood.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody loves Isla. Isla's number one. Every coach comes on and everyone knows Tarek and they say, congratulations. When does that, you're a father of a couple, when does that stop? When will the adulation stop for Tarek?
It doesn't, man, especially when you're a girl dad.
There you go.
And yeah, man, it only gets better. So I'm stoked for you, and it's just awesome.
You know, you talk like a surfer would talk, and your quarterback, Harrison Novak, is a 5'7" surfer dude. Is that why you relate to him so well? You guys have the lingo going? Is that the thing?
I think growing up around here, and, I did, obviously. I grew up here just like he did and all of our kids did. And I spent 5 years in New York and got the same thing, just like you just said. Yeah, we talk a little bit different out here, but yeah, I mean, we're 15 minutes from the beach, and most of our kids grow up surfing. And, I think with Harrison, it's just he's such a relaxed kid, and that carries over into the football world, and he's able to be calm. And, I think from that perspective of surfing his whole life and being at the beach and having that kind of, mindset of, it's just football is really why he's able to be successful, and a lot of our other kids are as well.
Coach Croick, I know I covered your teams when you guys were on the rise. We talked about Jake East before the show. Ty Diefenbach came back, the star quarterback. Now he's at Pitt. He got hurt. Things got real low for Aguora football for a little bit of time. But now here you guys are, 4-0, 5-0. Talk about those kids that are back from that rough year. What did it take to really turn it around, and how did it happen?
I think, last year for us was just Murphy's Law. Especially off the field, we dealt with, losing a kid, which was really hard, and going through that. And that was the real life adversity for our players that taught them more than football. Aside from that, we weren't a talented football team. We had Ty. Our numbers were low. It was a rough year. I knew going into it, it was going to be a rough year. But then with the injuries and everything that happened, I mean, it's football. You can't control that stuff. But we had good football players, and especially our JV team. We kept a lot of kids on that lower level so they could play football. I didn't want to bring kids up and, just to stick them in there. So we kept that group together for other reasons as well. And they played and they developed. And with all the adversity and the tough things that we went through last year, both in football and life, I think that's carried over. I think all of us knew that we could be a really good football team. And, these kids, the character, everything they've shown is, really just from the hard work they've put in and understanding that they have the talent to do this and they believe in each other. And, I think them going through a tough year like that is why we are where we are right now.
It's interesting. We all know about Modern Day and the culture, or St. John Bosco, or some of the other schools like a Corona Centennial. You're out in Aguora. What's it like? What's the community flavor out there? What's Aguora football thought of in your community?
I think that was a big part of us putting a chip on our shoulder this year too, is obviously having a rough year and not winning games last year. Aguora football has not been good, not been a good football program since probably when I was here as a high school kid, which is a long time ago. But we've I've been, culture-wise and everything is we need to put a chip on our shoulder, and you guys need to earn that respect and do it your way. Aguora has struggled, and I think our community, our culture, everything about Aguora right now, our families, everybody is supporting us, and that's what sets us apart from other places. Is if you're 1-9 or you're 5-0, you still have the support from everybody in this community because they know that you're working your tail off. It's a blue collar community that, wants kids to succeed. And right now, it's great. We're 5-0 and everybody is very excited, but there's still a lot of work to go. And, it's a tough season from here. So at this point, we're taking it week by week, but nothing's going to change here in Aguora with our family and our community and the support that we get for these kids.
Last one for me, Coach. Give me some player shout-outs. Who have been the players that have carried you through this great start?
I mean, Harrison's the one, our quarterback, that's getting all the publicity right now. Kid Miles Hull, this kid's a grinder, man. He's a Division I talent, under the radar right now. He's doing everything. You brought up Jake East, Tarek earlier, who was probably the best player I've ever coached in my career as a coach. And Miles is right there with this kid. So he's doing everything, on defense, on offense. He's leading us in probably every category right now. But the grit is there with this kid. So I think, from that perspective, again, chip on the shoulder. Miles is special. Ty's little brother, Brady, he's special. We've known he's been special. He's another one. But our O-line right now, undersized Aguora O-lineman, getting it done, gritty. Nobody believes in him. We'll run the football well. We're throwing it well. But those two right now are really the ones I think to look out for that deserve some recognition and probably some college attention. And I hope they start getting it.
Well, you're a good guy. We've liked you for a while now since we got to know you a few years ago. Dustin, Croick, Aguora, congratulations on the turnaround. Keep it going. I know you have a bye, so you relax. That's why you got the cap going backwards this week. You don't have to worry about Oak Park for another 6 or 7 days. No, you look good.
Well, I appreciate it, as always. Randy, go Kingsman, of course. Coach Lugo, we're rooting for him. But I always appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for your support.
All right, Coach. You take care. Have a great night.
Have a good night, fellas.
All right. By the way, Cal Lutheran guy, and I do some of their play-by-play. So that's why. I'm just saying that's why he brought it up.
You guys have a connection.
That's why he brought it up.
I get it.
All right. Kingsmen don't have a lot of great performances. We're going to talk about great performances.
I got to shout out real quick one thing that's great about Aguora, Cronies. It's a great place to eat. That's it. Go ahead.
Is this going to be one of your burrito deals?
I already did one. It was fantastic.
It was really
great
good.
Breakfast burrito at Cronies.
Who knew? Let's talk about some great performances. I don't know if Cronies is one of them, but we're going to talk about big-time performances last week at the prep level. And it always seems like we start with Brady Smigel of Newbury Park. Every week, 6 touchdowns. Look at that. He's got 23 touchdown passes in 4 games.
I say this every week. He's going to be one of those kids that's, top 2-3 quarterback in the country. Wouldn't surprise me if he even did a JT Daniels and reclassified and went on to college early.
How about Saul's performance there, McCary? Passes for 406 and 6 touchdowns for Nordhoff.
Fantastic performance. Hey, anytime you can throw it for 400, you know how to spin it.
I like this next one. I mean, Charles Hughes of Santa Ana. I mean, he comes up big. What's that? Close to 300 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns. That's big time.
When I see numbers like that, they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep giving the guy the rock.
My favorite one has to be Jalen Burt, North Hollywood, my alma mater. Grant's for many years been the traditional rivalry. The two schools are very close. And for him to get 6 touchdowns against the rival, that's great stuff.
Yeah, Jalen Burt, always really talented, always kind of has these gaudy box scores. If you look on Max Preps, you just look, he'll go for 2 or 3 200-yard games in a season.
Now, that one on the bottom there, to me, is maybe the best performance of the weekend. I mean, Oxnard Pacific's Isiah Dillon, 5 touchdown catches in the win over San Marcos. That's a lot of touchdown catches.
Yeah, Pacifica is the best team out in Ventura County. They just beat St. Bonaventure not too long ago, and I think they're going to end up being in, I don't know if they're going to keep it the Marmani League, but Pacifica, St. Bonaventure, Oaks Christian, I think they're re-leaguing out in Ventura County. It'll make it for a fun league.
All right, let's take a look at the CIF Southern Section Top 10 provided by Tarek Fatal. All right, why isn't Aguora in the top 10? They're undefeated.
There's some big hitters in this on this list. They got to earn it, but I think usual suspects at the top. I did drop St. John Bosco 1 spot. I know you're not a big fan of that, but after losing to Kahuku, a team that really struggled against Mater Dei, I think St. John Bosco dropping one spot's not too bad. And I think just San Clemente coming into the top 10, they're undefeated. Rancho Cucamonga in the baseline league. And maybe the last ad will just be Sierra Canyon still at 4-0.
What about San Clemente? 5-0 down on the bottom there, your top 10?
Yeah, they've got a running back named Aiden Rubin who's really good. San Clemente has a really good game tomorrow against Murrieta Valley. That'll be a fun game, and we'll see if they can stay unbeaten.
You're just having a lot of fun games. San Fernando, they got one tomorrow against Kennedy out in the San Fernando Valley. Kennedy's in the Granada Hills, Mission Hills area out there, and they're going to take on San Fernando. We got their head coach with us right now. The coach, Charles Burnley, former great player at San Fernando, and like Dustin Croick, Coach, congratulations on the turnaround 5-0. What's been the biggest difference for the Tigers in 2023?
Hey, Randy, first of all, thanks for having me. A year later, that first year was rough for us, my first year. I just think it just took some time for the guys to get acclimated to a whole new coach, a new system, offensively and defensively. But we knew we had some really amazing players. And what's happening right now really is not surprising. We just had to take the time to put it all together.
You have with you Isiah Castro. He's going to talk to us about what he does as a wide receiver and a DB. What do you love about this young junior football player?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? Isiah is always positive, very coachable, and will do whatever you ask of him to do. Great wide receiver, great routes, great DB, just great on both sides of the ball. I just can't say enough things about him. When I watch him play, I'm always in awe.
Isiah, Coach, before the show said this game against Kennedy is your biggest test yet. What has the focus been this week in practice?
I'll probably say the focus for us this week in practice is just staying consistent. Everyone's just got to be on the same page, offensively and defensively. We all have to be consistent together, just all over the field. There's no one position group that needs to be slacking. We have to be on point.
Isiah, guys like you always intrigue me that can play both ways. I don't know how you can stay on the field and do that. How do you stay on the field, play on both sides of the ball, and play with great passion for the whole game, the entire contest?
It's just the strength and conditioning coach that we have at our school really helps out, make sure that we are well conditioned for these longer games and just being able to stay in the game long enough.
Coach, I have to ask, when you took over, having gone to San Fernando, knowing the tradition, any history lesson a little bit there? Hey, fellas, I want you to know when you put on this jersey, this is what it means, man. San Fernando was like the Mater Dei back in the day, dominating. Did you talk to the players about that? So when they suit up, they know it's not just a jersey. There's some tradition there.
Tarek, that's part of our everyday spiel to the guys. I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's important. When I first came, I stressed the fact that there was a lot of pressure on the shoulders of these guys because San Fernando has a rich tradition, a rich football tradition. It's a community that loves the game. It's expected for us to be great. And so we have to talk about what we did in the past in order to get back to those days. And the guys hear it all the time from me and the other coaches.
That's my question. That's my follow-up. Can you get to those days where Anthony Davis was leading you to, not the Anthony Davis for the Lakers, the great running back who went on to USC,
Right.
when you're winning championships, and the Moore family, the Manfred Moores of the world, you had great football players, and Charles Burnley, you, sir, were not a bad player in your own right. Can you get back to that level?
Well, look, we realize we're not the school of choice. We're not the first option. We want to get back there, and winning does that. So as long as we can continue to win, as long as we can keep striving to be a positive program, we think that they'll come and we can get back to those days.
Isiah, my last one. Talk about being a junior, yet clearly you've got a leadership position. What does that mean for you? What does coach tell you, hey, this is what a leader looks like? How are you instilling that through your team?
The way I'm instilling it is just by leading by example. Going out there, giving 110%, just putting it all on the field. I feel like it's a great thing that I'm doing right now, and I'm just very excited for what the future holds.
Coach, last question, then I'll let you guys get some rest for the big game tomorrow against Kennedy. Give me a couple keys. I mean, Kennedy's a decent football team. You're trying to go to 6-0. What do you need to do to win tomorrow?
Look, Troy Cassidy is going to put together a solid game plan for us. We've got some really amazing coaches, and I'm lucky to have these guys, and they've sat down and planned out what exactly we need to do. And I think that at the end of the day, if the guys execute the way that we've set them out to do, I think we'll be fine. I think that we should expect a great game from Kennedy. They're a good football program. But I think if we execute and do what is planned for us to do, we'll be great. We'll do great.
Coach, I appreciate it. You've done a tremendous job this year getting it back to where it should be at San Fernando. Isiah, congratulations on a nice junior year. Keep it going. Maybe we'll see you down the road in the playoffs. And I know the Tigers have the tradition, and it should be an interesting night tomorrow when you get Kennedy. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Randy, Tarek, thank you.
You got it. All right. It's good to see a traditional team come back.
I was just going to say, on a private school level, a program like Crespi that's really down right now, I always kind of feel like that's one of the blue blood kind of programs in the Valley. And when they're good, everything else is good. And I just think historically, San Fernando, if the program is moving in the right direction and winning games, it's got that same feel. So it's good to see that they're on the right track.
I don't have the list in front of me of the number of championships won by programs. Carson and Banning have really a lot of them. Old days had Manuel, which won 1,000 of them. But San Fernando, if you check it out, they have a lot of city championships, probably 7 or 8 over the years. So they're a really good program. Anyway, that leads us into the top 10 in the city section. SB Live's top 10. Tarek Fatal's top 10. Birmingham is ranked number 1. They're going to play Steele in Texas. They're 3-1. They're a huge underdog, but it's a great experience. Most of their kids haven't been on an airplane before.
Exactly. Haven't been on an airplane before. Like there's a photo of those guys getting some food in the airport. And that's what Jim Rose told me. He goes, look, if we can go to Texas, they're gonna practice at Texas State. They're gonna tour the University of Texas. He said they're going to all-you-can-eat barbecue. They're visiting the Alamo. Great experience for these players, for the program, and frankly, it's a good marketing tool, right? Hey, look, Mom and Dad, our kids travel to play football games. Come be part of our program. Totally legit. Love what Jim Rose is doing. Last time the city section team traveled out of state, it was Narbonne. They went to Hawaii in back-to-back years, 2017, 2018. So it's rare.
They're going to have a lot of memories. In fact, they'll remember the Alamo.
Yeah. Oh, good one. Good one.
Okay, Garfield's on that 4-game winning streak. There's Carson we've talked about. The Colts climbing up the charts. Granada Hills playing pretty good football. Stanley, the running back, is terrific. San Pedro has a big game with Dimely. We'll talk about that. Narbonne, I'll tell you, we talked to Jason Zabalik of El Camino before the show, and they played Narbonne. And he said they're big time. He goes, Randy, Narbonne's an open division team. Then there's Banning, 2 and 3, and then you got that thing I don't like, a tie for 10th or whatever you call it between Franklin and Cleveland.
Yeah, I just
give
think,
me 10, not 11.
I think they're just both deserving for right now to be in there, and so the city section has a little parity. There's a couple big wigs at the top, and then I would argue from 4 to, I guess, 11, that you could mismatch any of those guys. Hey, and you know what? Those kids are having fun out there.
I asked you about Aguora not being in the top 10 for the southern section. Where's San Fernando?
They got to earn it. They got to earn it.
Okay, you don't think the competition has been strong
enough?
No.
And I think Coach would even agree. I don't even think San Fernando is going to play anyone on that list. You got to kind of knock someone off. That's how I see it.
I'm just trying to tie the show.
I know.
Key games this week in Los Angeles, in the Southland. Let's start with Rancho Cucamonga. Well, Vista Murrieta is almost at another city, right? It's another area code. It's out by Palm Springs. But that's a good football game.
Yeah, that's the TV game carried by Bally's this week. Everyone's going to have a lot of fun. Like you mentioned, Trey Wilson, that is the player to watch, or
Right.
Rancho Cucamonga, Vista Marietta, where Sua Cravens went. A lot of people, that's kind of the most notable name out of that program. So someone's going to lose, someone's going to stay unbeaten.
On our Brady Smigel watch, Newbury Park is always on our list. I love that kid. But it'll be a test tomorrow against Thousand Oaks. We know Newbury Park's going to have to score 50 or 60 to win.
It's going to be a neighborhood game. Ben McEnroe, who actually used to be the coach at Cal Lutheran,
Right.
now at Thousand Oaks. Fun matchup.
Mater Dei on the road, out of state, taking on St. Francis Academy, who lost their first 4 games against the national schedule, one last week. We've seen Mater Dei. They should win, but we saw what happened to Bosco last week.
Yeah, that's true, but I just don't see the Monarchs losing. But they're on the road, and weird things happen, so why not?
Liberty takes on Corona Centennial. Quick note on that one.
Yeah, I just think the Huskies are going to just take care of business. They're hosting this one, and I think anytime you get high schoolers on the road, like we saw St. John Bosco in
Right.
Hawaii, things can get weird.
Sierra Canyon will be tested by a team from out of state too, the Arizona squad, Saguaro.
Now these guys, I want to say these programs have played like 3 or 4 years in a row, or 4 in the last 5 years. They're very familiar. The coaches know each other. Saguaro is one of the better teams in Arizona. They'll try their best against Sierra Canyon.
And the city game to watch. And you're going to go to this,
So
right?
this is where I'll be tomorrow. There's just a lot of storylines. San Pedro's got a player I want to check out. Diamalee's got, just win or lose, their programs on the up and up. Their coach, Dave Wiltz, I believe is his name.
Yeah, Dave Wiltz.
He was at Jefferson for 13 years. Now he's at Dimalee. They had 8-man football for a couple years. Excuse me, they had no football program. They had to go to 8-man to prove to the city section we can field a team. Now they're back to 11-man. They're on the up and up. He said they only got 30 kids on their varsity roster. Let's see how they do against the Pirates.
He's a good coach. He really coaches the run game well. It says here, discuss article on Hines Ward. The article this gentleman
Yeah.
wrote, Mission Viejo's Hines Ward.
Yeah, really good story here. We've got some photos and a little bit of video. Hines Ward, Lilo Maeva, he's on the right, the running back for Mission Viejo, only a junior. Yes, that's right. His name is Hines Ward. That's his first name, no space. He is named after the Steelers' great Hines Ward and has a little brother named Troy, after Troy Polamalu. His late father named him after Hines Ward, big Steelers fan who died in 2016 to a heart attack. Thought it was a great story. The kid was more than happy to share about his life and kind of just honoring his father every time he plays football with the tattoo. We've got some highlights of him. Really actually funny, in the story, Chad Johnson, the coach, said really they should have named him Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
Because he runs with such physicality. They nickname him Little Bus, which I think is kind of cool. So we're talking about a kid that's about 5'10" and 230 pounds. He's like a little bowling ball. And so not only does he has a great football name, but he's got great game.
And there it is as he bulls his way into the end zone. Mission Viejo having another good year. Quick note on volleyball in the city section. A big one in the West Valley. Granada Hills in 5 sets over Chatsworth. Of course, the West Valley always has great teams.
Yeah, for the most part, I always feel like the city section volleyball championship is won from a team in the West Valley, or it's like Palisades or some Venice. I think won it a couple of years ago. That was a little bit of a shocker, but it's always the usual suspects when it comes to girls volleyball in the city. So another great matchup for the Highlanders.
Our friends are on next Wednesday. They took a week off. Prep Sports Night Live. There it is. They're on live from 7 to 8 o'clock. Love Rich Estrella and Bob Gibson. They do a sensational job. So watch that show next Wednesday. One last note. Brandon Baker, offensive tackle at Mater Dei, is going to declare on Sunday. He's down to Florida State, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, or Nebraska. Just took a trip to Nebraska. Where's he going?
The 247 Sports, Greg Biggins, thinks he's going to go to Texas. I'm kind of thinking maybe he goes to Ohio State, and this is why. It's the only of those choices where he'll actually be able to come back when the USC and UCLA join the Big Ten. He'll be able to play in front of his friends and family. I'm going with the Buckeyes. And
you're going to the Dimalee. Yeah, you think they can win that game, or is San Pedro too good?
I think I just think that Dimalee's probably not ready for that kind of game with only 30 players. But hey, I'm going to go. If they win, I'm there for a great story. If they fall short, that's okay. Still a great story to see Dimalee, which would be, they're 4-0. And you know what? They have a chance to win the Coliseum League and maybe shake things up in the Division I city playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you look at Dorsey and Crenshaw, who are still okay, they aren't what they used to be. So in the Coliseum League, a team like Dimalee can sneak in there and get it. I think that's going to end it for us tonight.
Great show.
You really liked the show?
Yeah, it was a good show.
You liked it. You rate it high.
Yeah.
Show's over. Tarek and I will be back next Thursday night. Yeah, that's Tarek. I'm Randy. We'll see you next Thursday right here on SoCal Prep Report. Have a good week, everybody.
I'm thinking like 9.5 out of 10, that show.
You think? High. I think this Hines Ward's as good as the other one.
I don't give nines much. That's
a high level. That's a high grade for you.
I think it was more so you.